In March 1997, police found a scene in a luxury home in California that shook the world. 39 people were found dead inside a single house. All wore the same black shirts, the same shoes, and all had calm expressions on their faces. The most surprising thing was that they were not murderers, but had embraced death of their own free will. But the question is, what convinced the 39 people that death would lead them to a better world? Today we will talk about Heaven's Gate, which is considered to be one of the most famous and terrifying cults in history. The story of Heaven's Gate begins with two people. One man was Marshall Applewhite. He was a music teacher in the United States and had very religious views. The other was Bonnie Nettles, a nurse with a keen interest in spirituality and astrology. When the two met in the 1970s, they became convinced that the Who was not an ordinary human being. They claimed that they had been chosen by a higher creature for a particular mission. Together, the two formed a group that later became known as Heaven's Gate. Applewhite and Nettles used to tell their followers that the human body is just a container and the main goal is to leave this world and achieve a higher quality of life. Heaven's Gate was a cult that was a strange combination of religion, science fiction, and UFO theories. The group believed that the Earth was about to be destroyed soon and that only the Who, people who would be part of their mission, could survive. He said that humans can actually evolve to a higher level. Followers were taught to let go of their old life, family, friends, and all the desires of the world. The members of the group gradually separated from the world and surrendered their entire lives to the cult. Heaven's Gate was founded in 1970. For the next several years, Applewhite and Nettles traveled throughout the United States and recruited new members. In 1985, Bonnie Nettles died of cancer. This was a major blow to the group's faith, as the Who claimed that the Who was on a higher mission. But Applewhite explained to followers that the Nettles marker has moved to higher level. After that, the group became even more extreme. Then in 1997, the Who event took place, which made Heaven's Gate famous all over the world. Members of Heaven's Gate lived and traveled in different parts of the United States, but the most important location of his story was Rancho Santa Fe, California. It was here that a large house was rented where the members of the group lived. It was in this house that the Who horrific event later took place that shook the world. This is the most interesting question. Why do people believe in such extraordinary beliefs? Hakikat Yahay ko Heaven's Gate ko bohat si members Jahilia biwakof nahithe, unmain teachers. Professionals or educated individuals were also involved. Many people were looking for a purpose in life. Some were alone, some were looking for spiritual solace. Applewhite used to make them realize that the Who was part of a special mission and that the Who was different from the general public. This feeling gradually became the center of his life. In 1997, a famous comet named Hellfather was visible in the sky. Applewhite claimed that there is a spacecraft behind the comet. He said that these spacecraft gave him a higher level world, main Lajane Iya High. But according to him, it was necessary to leave the human body for this journey. The members of the group believed this. In March 1997, 39 members took their own lives under a systematic plan. Everyone wore the same clothes, put your belongings in order, and embraced death with conviction. He felt that the Who was not dying, but embarking on a new journey. The story of Heaven's Gate is not just a cult story. It is a story of the power of the human mind, faith, and influence. It tells us that when a person takes over people's hopes, fears, and purpose, they can force them to make decisions that would normally seem impossible. Even today, the Heaven's Gate incident is one of the most shocking and horrific cult cases in history. What do you think? Did the members of Heaven's Gate really believe in a better world, or were they just a victim of a dangerous deception? Please give your opinion in the comments. November 18, 1978, in the jungle of Guyana, a scene unfolds that shook the world. A remote settlement where more than 900 corpses were found, and silence, fear and devastation reigned everywhere. The name of this place was Jonestown, and all this happened because of a human being who people previously thought of as a reformer and a savior, but in reality, he was a leader who pushed his followers into darkness. Today we will talk about People's Temple, and the horrific outcome that became the biggest mass death incident in history. The foundation of People's Temple was laid by Jim Jones. Jim Jones was a charismatic and powerful speaker. Initially, he used to raise his voice against social justice, equality, and racism. In the 1970s, the U.S. presented the People's Temple as a religious social movement. Followers in the U.S. used to call him Father, but over time, Jim Jones' control and behavior became more extreme. People's Temple was a group that initially gave a message of equality and human rights, but gradually it became a high-control cult. Members were convinced that Jim Jones was their spiritual leader. The outside world was corrupt. There was safety only within the group. The members would leave their family, money, and personal freedom and come inside the group. The group later shifted to the jungle of Guyana to form the Jonestown settlement. In the 1950s, Jim Jones started People's Temple. The group's rapid growth and political influence in 1977, the Jonestown settlement was established in Guyana on November 18, 1978, the day when everything was over. This one day turned the whole movement into the deadliest cult case in history. The events took place in two locations, the U.S., California and Indianapolis. The expansion and recruitment of People's Temple in Jonestown, the final settlement where the tragedy occurred. And Jonestown was a remote jungle area from where escape was almost impossible. This question is the most important of all. People joined Jim Jones' group because he promised equality and justice. Poor and marginalized people got hope. Jim Jones was a very perceptive and emotional speaker. People were losing meaning in their lives. Gradually this hope was converted into dependency and fear. The members felt that the outside world was dangerous for them. The situation in Jonestown spiraled out of control. Jim Jones, imposing strict control on members, introduced loyalty tests and punishment for the Communications and Freedom District. And on November 18, 1978, an ASS congressman, Leo Ryan, went to Jonestown for an investigation. Some of the members tried to escape from the vehicle. After this, the situation escalated. Jim Jones convinced his followers that the Revolutionary Act was necessary. And then there was the tragedy in Jonestown that the world is today. Mass death event Kanamasi Janti Hai. People's Temple ki kahani surfek cult ki kahani nahi hai. Ya kahani hai. Trust ka misuse. Power ka extreme control. Or inzani psychology ka dark side. This incident shows us how horrific the result can be when a leader achieves blind obedience. What do you think? Did people believe Jim Jones or became a victim of who fear and control? Please give your opinion in the comments. It was a cold evening in October 1989, Minnesota, and an 11-year-old boy was riding his bicycle with his friend. He could not have imagined that this normal day would prove to be the last day of America's life. Suddenly a masked man appeared, and in a few moments, the boy disappeared into the darkness. His name was Jacob Wetterling, and this case became one of the most intriguing and painful missing children cases America has ever seen. Jacob Wetterling was an 11-year-old innocent survivor. Jacob Wetterling lived in the town of St. Joseph, Minnesota. He was a normal school-going kid who loved cycling, football and playing with friends. The U.S. family was very simple and loving. One night Jacob was out on a bicycle with his brother and friend. When he was going back home, a masked man appeared in front of him. The U.S. pointed guns and stopped the children. Then he took Jacob with him and disappeared. The other two escaped, but Jacob never returned. The incident took place on October 22, 1989. After a search was launched for Jacob at Foritor police, volunteers, and the community all joined the search, but time passed and no strong clue was found. The incident occurred near St. Joseph, a small area in Minnesota. St. Joseph, Minnesota, was considered a peaceful and safe area, which made the case even more shocking. The biggest question in this case was why Jacob was targeted, but no clear reason was ever revealed. Possible theories are thin, random kidnapping, opportunity crime, serial offender work, but the real reason today is the mystery. According to witness, a masked man restrained the first 3 children. He questioned them and frightened them. 2 survivors fled in the vehicle, but he took Jacob with him. After both the man and Jacob disappeared. The police conducted a decades-long investigation. Search parties, tips, and theories were all tried, but no solid trace was found. Jacob Wetterling's case was not just a kidnapping, it's a story that makes parents' fears real. This case also changed the child safety law in the U.S., and Jacob's name is still a hallmark of missing children awareness today. The question remains the same today. What happened to Jacob Wetterling that night and where did he go?